Hey everybody! I was working on a new sausage video for you because everybody loves the sausage video, but it's hunting season out here, and last night, just before dark, I harvested this big old black bear, and he is a real big boy. So, I have to take a pause on that sausage video. It'll be coming at you soon, but I do want to get some content out, so today I'm going to be cutting off the back fat and the rump fat from this guy and rendering that down into some of the best cooking lard you'll ever use. So let's get started. Bears are exceptionally fatty animals, and this guy was very well fed, and he's got a good inch or two of this fat all over his back and bottom side. And I don't want that stuff to go to waste. It's very good for cooking and especially for baking. So I'm going to start breaking this bear down by stripping all this fat off the flesh before I quarter it. And then I'm going to render that down into some really high quality lard. There's really nothing complicated about this. You can clearly identify that fat from the flesh. So I'm just going to wipe this down with a damp cloth to get some of the blood off there and as much of the hair off of there as I can. And then just go through and strip that fat away from the flesh. And then we're going to cook that fat down nice and slow to melt all of the grease out of it. Throw that in some jars, and that'll keep for a good long time in the refrigerator and even longer in the freezer. Find some little glands in there. You can chuck those right into your muck bucket. It's a real greasy job. You might want to wear gloves when you do this. That is not personal enough for me. You see just how oily and shiny that is. It almost melts in your hand. I would like to take all this fat off of this thing last night before I wrapped it up so it would have cooled down a little quicker, but it was getting pretty late. So I wrapped it up, and it was nice and cold out here last night anyway. This guy's cooled off, pretty much stiffened up. That is a lot of fat. It's probably going to be 30 pounds per side or so. Very thick fat here on the back. Solid 2 inches there. Oh yeah, there's a good 20 pounds of fat off that one side of this guy, and there's still a bunch more trim on there. So let me get the other side done, and we'll get this cleaned up even more, and then we'll start cooking it down. Now I've got my nice slab of bear fat here. I want to get as much of the hair off of there as I can, and also cut any little bits of meat off of there, because those are going to cook and throw off the flavor of the lard. Oh, just a little bit of trim to do here. You don't have to be perfect here, but the more you get off, the better your finished product's going to be. That other side. Not too much going on here either. A little bit of hair. I was lucky to not have to skin this guy out in the field, because then things tend to get a little dirtier. Now, we're just going to cut this into small cubes so they melt down a little easier. little 1-inch cubes or so. And I'm not saving this for sausage because this lard has such a low melting point that it'll just melt right out of your sausage. Some of the more dense fat on there I could use, but it's mostly this really soft, silky lard. This is going to be a nice low temperature cook. You could even do this in the crock pot. You don't want this to really sizzle and fry. You want to slowly melt down and release all that bare grease. So it's going to take a little while. And this is a big pot, so I didn't stuff it all the way full because then it can cook too long and that can also generate an off flavor. If I was using a smaller pan, I could pack it up really high and it would melt way down. So now we're just going to watch and wait. Don't take your eye off this for too long. Stir it every now and then to make sure it's not getting too hot down on the bottom. And then when these guys turn into little golden cracklings and start floating up, we've extracted just about as much fat as we can. And then we'll strain this off and jar it up. Like we're just about ready here. My fat chunks are all nice and golden now. Don't want to cook this too long. There's no more steam coming out of it, so all the moisture's gone. I don't have a lot of foam going on in here, so I think we're good to go. So now, I'll take out the crackling. Now I'm going to strain this off through a cheesecloth. A fine mesh strainer will do the job, but a cheesecloth will even get you a cleaner product. Now I'll let this cool down just a little bit and then I'll get it into some jars. Meanwhile, I'm going to wipe out the big pot because I don't want any of those little fine particles left in there because they will burn. And then I'll get my next batch going. And for these crackling, you can salt these up and eat them just like they are. However, if you want really puffy and crispy crackling, what you're going to want to do is press these. So I'll sandwich them between some cookie sheets, put some weight on them, and then after you press them and they're all cool, you hit them with a second high temperature fry and they will puff and get crispy, and then they are really delicious. That beautiful, clean, and clear bear butter. That is what you're looking for. If it's kind of yellow or even brown, you've gone a little bit too far with the cooking, at least for my taste, and it's going to have kind of a roasty, toasty flavor to it. It'll still work, but the cleaner you can get that, the better it's going to be for your baking, because it's not going to throw in any additional flavors. Wonderful stuff. take a look at that. Beautiful, beautiful bear butter. Pristine bear butter. That is going to be excellent for baking, frying, wherever you would use oil or butter. This is going to be great. And now these are in jars. They'll keep in the refrigerator. I've had them for over a year in the refrigerator and they were fine, and they'll keep even longer if you freeze those. And I got these delightful little cracklings I just fried up. Beautiful golden brown cracklings. And this is the first taste of this bear I'm gonna have. Check out that bite. Ooh, rich. Very rich. But perfectly clean tasting. No gaminess, no off flavor. Those are nice, but I better be careful how many of these I eat. So I'm all done with this bear. I just finished cutting and packing it and getting that thing into the freezer. So now we're gonna move on to deer, and hopefully with that bear out of the picture, they won't be quite so skittish. And I will have that sausage recipe that I've been working on coming at you soon, and after that we can get into some bear sausage, which I am very excited to try out. So you're gonna wanna stay tuned for that, but in the meantime, get out there and have the time of your life. Thanks for watching.